Ladies and gentlemen, the first comments for myself, I raise you with Dr.Sebi.
Good evening.
Well, what could I say? I'm happy to see you guys here. Brothers and sisters. Solve the problem.
I have years. I have never been addressed. My name is Sebi. And it gives me much pleasure to come with this piece of information to share with you, because it started. It was 500 years. The body has been deteriorating at a very fast pace. Yet all the educators, historians, anthropologists, archaeologists, paleontologists, none of them have ever addressed the foundation or the very fundamental things that affect our people. They gave us history, but we couldn't use it. They gave us anthropology, we can't use that. They gave us Egypt, can't use that either. Now we're sick. And of all the things that they brought about, none of them fit in any vernacular that we need today. Because what I noticed as a young man, first, is that I never went to school because my grandmother didn't send me to school. She didn't have the money to buy me shoes. I wore shoes until I was 14. I was working for my grandmother since I was 11. How could I go to school? I had to take care of my grandmother. She had no one to take care of her but me. So therefore, I had to work for her. And that work was honorable work. If my grandmother was in the United States, she would have been incarcerated. Child abuse. But look what turned out. Her grandson. I feel sorry. Sometimes I feel it. That my grandmother was not alive to see what she did with her grandson. But she, my grandmother, knew that one day, whatever she was cultivating in me was good. One thing that I found in what she cultivated was that it became useful. Not a whole bunch of words. I heard words of all kinds. I joined organizations and what? Many organizations, some that you may be a member of today. I got out because I didn't see the food in it. And to be useful, you have to bring forth fruit. When in studying history, you don't bring forth anything fruit. You talk about what happened. You know, you talk about what happened in Somalia. You talk about what happened way back in Mali. But how can we extrapolate from Mali or Somalia and make it good today? You cannot find anything in it but a bunch of words. We don't want that. Our bodies have been deteriorated. Why? Because the food that God made for us, we were no longer eating those things. And we have not been eating those things in 500 years. Yet the anthropologists, the historians, the philosophers, they came talking to us. A confused brain, a damaged brain, and a adulterated sperm. So what was the deal? Why should I have listened? Those of my brothers that I remember reading 45 years ago in New Orleans, Louisiana. Brothers I shared good things with. Brothers I lived in California that shared beautiful things with me. I went back after 30 years and I looked for one in particular named Ben. Ben used to read these books every day. Thousands of books. So when I returned to California, he did this. I looked behind him. He said, I read all these books. There was 1,500 books. I said, Ben, I didn't read any. But in the 30 years that I have not seen you, there is a little girl in New York by the name of Haja, Brother Hakim's daughter, that had a hole in her heart. And she was only 6 months old. The doctors wanted to perform what they call an open heart surgery. The father came to me and said, if you don't heal my baby, she's going to die, because she will not have an open heart surgery on a 6-month-old little girl. Well, needless to say, I saw Haja a year ago when I went to see Mr. LL Cool J grandmother. So I'm talking to this woman with these 2 little girls in the room in the hotel, the Ramada Inn, and this lady said to me, do you remember me? I said, no. She said, I'm Brother Hakim's wife. I said, if you are Brother Hakim's wife, where is Haja? There she is. 12 years of age, without the hole in her heart. How did that happen? Let us go to Atlanta, Georgia. Her name is Mecca. Mecca had a tumor in her frontal lobe, and she was blind at age 8 until age 11. She's seeing without the tumor. Steve Eugene Charles, Aruba, the Antilles, sickle cell anemia, no longer with sickle cell anemia. Mr. Fredericks was blind for 11 years, no longer blind. How was this all accomplished? When I told folks that this was accomplished, they look at me like I was the biggest liar in the world. Sebi understood. You know what it is to be eating meat for 500 years. You know what it is to have a father, to be the child of a father that drank milk, that ate meat, ate hamburgers, drink alcohol, smoked cigarettes, then made love to mama, and I came. I'm the result of my daddy's food, which was garbage. What do you expect of us today? This was not brought out by the historians, though. So how could we believe that this thing was accomplished, or that it was possible? How could you believe that? You cannot believe that. And I didn't expect for you to believe that. So what I did, I took it to the extreme. I went to Washington, D.C. I saw a very good friend of mine by the name of Nizam Moyo. I said, Nizam, just take this thing to the very height, to another level. Let us place an ad in the papers that AIDS has been cured. Sickle cell, lupus, herpes, cancer, blindness, and others. Nizam said, I think you have to do that because black people are just not going to believe you. If you were white, yes. Not black. Because we have been trained not to do so. We have been trained not to love another one like us. Why? And rightfully so. How could you love me entirely when you have been eating the very substance that prevent us from loving ourselves? So how could you render that to someone else? That's why when some philosophers or historians come to me and I watch what he eats, well, I just walk out the door because I know this man is not saying something that has equity, because his food denies his position. That is why you cannot believe. And that is precisely why I decided to put the ad in the papers to go to jail. Why I had to go to jail? Because then I would be faced with the physicians, right? The doctors, the best doctors in the United States. Naturally, when the ad was placed, they asked your brother to remove the ad. I said, no. Every black person in New York, lawyers, doctors, and friends, told me that I should not be a fool, that I should remove the ad, because what chances do I have in winning an argument that fits in the vernacular of medicine against those well-trained physicians. Dr. Bonanno from Boston Memorial Hospital. Dr. Victor Herbert, he is head of the Veteran Administration. Dr. Cohen came all the way from Minnesota to refute that which I had to say. And you're going to tell me, Sebi, that you're going to go up against these 4 physicians? There was another one, an Italian, I forgot his name. You're going to go up against these 4 physicians and expect to win? The herbalists, they came with the same argument. The herbalist was angry at me because they said that I was jeopardizing their position. Well, naturally, they had a right to say that. Why? Because the herbalists didn't do their homework. There aren't one herbalist in America that have done their homework. What do they cure? Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. So that is why many people are not encouraged to go to the herbalist. But as we look at this whole thing, as I looked at it, I knew that I had a weapon in my arsenal that no one could defeat. I had God. They didn't have God. The herbalist or the allopathic. Why do I say the herbalist? Because the herbalists were using peppermint, comfrey, aloe vera. That is ungodly. God did not make those things. The doctors, on the other hand, they were using inorganic chemicals, which they have not explained today. Understanding comes from the food that we eat. It does not come from your brain. It does not come from a book. It comes from the food that you eat. I have been told many times that I have wisdom, that I have knowledge, that I'm smart. Well, I don't know what smart is, and I don't know what wisdom is until today. I don't know what knowledge is. I know this. I know what is cosmic consistency. I know what God is. Not wisdom, not knowledge, not nothing. So, ladies and gentlemen, after getting this advice from all these people in New York, I sat with my wife and I said to her, you know, here I am, proving that I cured these diseases, yet my brother had the audacity to tell me to compromise my position. Well, you know, it is difficult to tell someone that never been to school to compromise his position. Why? Because he has something that you do not receive in a school. He had the love for self, the confidence in self, not a book. Because what happened is that the book prepares you for a journey, but the book is limited. So therefore, those who read the book knows that the writer of the book knows more than they do. Like, for instance, if I only attain an 8th grade of education, the one that attained the high school, he looks down on me. But if I have a BS, I look down on the high school. If I have a master's degree, I look down on the BS. If I have a PhD, I look down on the master's degree. But then, the PhD, who looks down on him? The person that wrote the book and created the philosophy that he accepted as a doctor's degree. So he had to look up to him. Well, I have no one to look up to because I'm outside that vernacular. That's a game that I didn't play. So this game that I'm playing is God. It's outside the school vernacular. But that particular vernacular, this God message, is enough to obliterate anything that man has to offer. Anything that man created does not fit within the arrangement of life itself. Philosophy, herbs, or whatever. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to travel on a path that was introduced to me in Africa, the continent that many who lives on it doesn't even know that this exists. That is the path of Onghus. The path of Onghus is what makes us impeccable, not subservient impeccable. Impeccable means that you and I first going to have the tolerance with self and others, the understanding that love stands above all else. But as we look at this whole structure that we have today, love is missing. Because I was once a Muslim, and a Muslim does not want to hear anything about a Christian. A Christian about a Muslim? No, all we have for him is bombs. Where is the love? Where is the love? Yet both talk about love. If I am a Buddha, well, I don't love either because I'm a Buddha. What's going on? What happened? When they remove us from the territory that God gave us, the only territory that God gave us is Africa. The only one. America is not ours. You know what this is like? This is like I, Sebi, stole this from you. And you know that I stole it. Someone else knows that I stole it from you. Yet you come and tell me, sell me a piece of it. Sell me a piece of it. What is that saying? That I'm collaborating with the thief. But that is what we all are doing. We are collaborating with the thief. If you go to court, if someone steals something and another collaborated, what you think the judge gonna do? Both go to jail. Well, this territory that we call America was not European. It didn't belong to anyone but the American Indians. But yet we go into our pockets and we tell the man that stole it, I want a piece. He said, you got to give me $100,000. And we buy it, knowing that this thing was stolen. What is it saying? It's saying that we have become so helpless, so vulnerable, so everything that is other than love. Because the food that God made for us has not been on our plates for 500 years. Then we ask, why is prostate cancer running high? Why is diabetes? Dr. Sebi, you know, in my family, heart condition is hereditary. Heart condition is hereditary. What about the hog balls? Isn't that hereditary too? What about the pork chops? That's hereditary. So when you tell me that your disease is hereditary, you have to tell me that the food that made that disease hereditary is what you're still eating. That happened to Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi had diabetes when he was only 30. Dr. Sebi was impotent at 30. He was born with asthma. Dr. Sebi wore glasses at 30. And he weighed 291. Then when I look back into the history of my parents, they too had diabetes, they too was obese, they too wear glasses. So how do you break this thing we call hereditary? You stop eating the food that comes with the hereditary. And you break that cycle. Easy, isn't it? Of course it is easy. But now, we ask the question. After eating hog maws, pork chops, collard greens, chitlins for 500 years, ask someone to stop. Then we have the nerve to point our finger at someone that takes cocaine. How do we do that? Just how do we have room to criticize someone that uses cocaine? When we have salt on the table. We have salt and sugar. Salt and sugar on the table. And we're going to criticize someone that uses cocaine. We have no room. I have no room. I give thanks to God that I'm alive after going all through that. Diabetes, asthma, impotence, blind, and insane. I teach in New York because I felt very bad. Why I felt bad? Because I was getting this hate thing inside of me. I disliked everyone, not only white people. I disliked you. I disliked my mother-in-law because I thought that she was responsible for my wife leaving me. I want to kill her. Now, why did I think that? I felt nervous most of the time. I felt very uneasy. I used to cry every day in Los Angeles. You know, I moved to Los Angeles in 1964, 63, and I used to go up on the hill in Malibu and cry. Why was I crying? I was crying for what? I was stressed. But I didn't know what brought on the stress. None of the herbalists, none of the philosophers, none of the Egyptologists or the anthropologists showed me why I was crying. So I was in New York, 1963, and I walk into this photo booth where you put the dollar in there, and I composed myself, took the picture. When the picture came out, my eyes were wild. I looked at the pictures, and I tore them up. I didn't need anyone to tell me that I was insane, and I was not in denial. What is it saying? That the very food that I was consuming, I lived in Louisiana. What did my wife fed me? Stuffed melons with shrimps, crawfish bisque, jambalaya, gumbo, rice and beans every day. Do we have any idea as to what rice and beans does to the human body? I was talking to someone just recently in Honduras about a year ago, a guy by the name of, what is his name now? Pichon. Pichon came while I was sitting under this tree, and I had this plate of rice and beans. I was going to eat it. This woman brought it to me because everybody was buying food, and it was a big celebration. So I had my plate of rice and beans. I wasn't going to eat it, but I couldn't tell the lady, I don't eat that. Pichon came and saw me with the rice and beans in front of my face and said, hey, are you going to eat that hog food? That is hog food. Rice is dangerous. Rice has what? Cyanide. Yes. Go do some biochemical analysis and you see what rice has. Cyanide. Beans, it has an over amount of starch, enough to drive you crazy. One night I was in Miami, and there was a party given by some Haitians. And there was a young man there by the name of Nuba, not Tam, Nuba. Nuba wife named Nicole. I was with another Haitian, a lady, her name is Jude Falaise. She said to me, you know, these people have all this meat and stuff here tonight. They're going to be a big fight. I said, why do you say that? He said, because look what they're eating. I said, well, I know that. No, you don't know what I'm saying. My cousin is Nuba. Nuba is Nicole's husband. And I remember 10 years ago in Haiti, when he ate pork, he went crazy. He was less tolerant than most of us. She went to Nicole and told Nicole, don't give Numa the pork. She said, why? Because he's going to beat you up. He's going to beat you up. Oh, no! She said, look, Nicole, he's my cousin. I grew up in a house with him. I saw what he did. He ate the pork. There's some big, nice ribs, barbecued, with sauce on it. The barbecue sauce with a lot of garlic. And he went to town. By 12:30 at night, he was pissing Nicole. Found a reason too. And having you been pissed? How many of our mothers, I saw my mother abused by a man, which I took a machete, and I was going to chop his head off. God knows I tell the truth. I was going to chop his head off. What saved the man from getting his head chopped off? My mother grabbed the machete with the side that it was sharp, and she cut her hand. She had that cut today. I want to chop this man's head off with the fever. What you mean you're going to hit my mother? Because you're what? Who gives you the right? But I thought about it years later on the plane. My mother was feeding the man the food that caused him to be insane. My mother was feeding the man the food that caused his prostate gland to be inflamed, and eventually he died with cancer. Your wife feeds you the food that she learned from her mother. You think we could blame the wife or the mother or the mother? No. It's an experience that we are facing today. So now, as we total all this up with all these diseases that has been cured, how were they cured? I hate to go into it. Why? Because I'm a plumber. That is all I am. A human plumber. You know the plumber that goes to your house and get all the feces out your house because it's overflowing? And it stinks when it overflows from the toilet, isn't it? And how do you think it happens in your body? When the feces is overflowing, the lymphatic glands are swollen. My lymph nodes are swollen. The doctor took them out. My colon is extended. What's inside that colon? Oh, but we have to consider the standard weight per height measure. The standard weight per height measure says that Dr. Sebi at 6'2" or 6'3", he's supposed to weigh 175 to 210 pounds. Who put that scale together? The same man that brought us here. Have we questioned him? Certainly the herbalist has not. The healers have not questioned him. Because they offer the same garbage he recommends. So I am a human plumber. All of you sitting in this room, you don't have to tell me what you have. You don't. Why? God's medicine cures everything without you saying a word. That happened to me in Dominica. The policeman came to me. No, his wife came first, and she said, Dr. Sebi, I have been monitoring you, and you have cured a bunch of folks. I want you to cure my husband. I said, where is he? Oh, he's not going to come. Because first of all, he's a policeman. He's tall, he's big muscles. He's going to feel embarrassed to come to see you. Why? Because he's impotent. How many of us have the nerve to say that they're impotent? Well, I'm not one. When I was impotent, I told the world I'm impotent. Because I want to know if there was a cure for this stuff, because I was only 30. So the policeman, being a policeman, how could he come when he's a cop? He can't bring himself down. So she said, could I take him the medicine? I said, sure. Take him the medicine. Here it is. And by the way, behind your house, I know, or around your house, in the fields around, there's a plant that when you touch it, it goes right to sleep. Who are from the tropics in here this evening? Who are from Central or South America or the Caribbean, from Jamaica? Are there anyone here from the tropics? From Puerto Rico? No one here from the foreign countries. Well, Mr. Charles Gray and Miss Denise Murray was in Honduras. And I showed Charles. I said, Charles, watch this plant. I touched the plant and it curled right up. They call it the sensitive plant. There is nothing in the world that addresses prostate inflammation or prostate cancer like the sensitiva. So I told the lady, they call it simecotois in patois. While in Dominica, I learned to speak some patois, not much, but enough to listen and probably some words, but not like I do Spanish. Spanish is my first language, then English second. I learned English in the United States, not in Honduras. They don't speak very few people speak Spanish, English there. And when I was coming up as a little boy, I was 20 when I left, I don't think there were about 100 people that spoke English. So we didn't care for it because you can't use English in Honduras. It's a Spanish country. It's a Spanish-speaking country. So I came to the United States and I learned English. So the man, the policeman, wife, left the evening with the compounds. I went to town the next day. I'm walking the street of Roseau. Roseau is the name of the capital of Dominica. When I walk the street, this lady come running in the middle of the street, Dr.Sebi! And everybody looks around, even including myself. I was astonished. My husband and I made love last night, like we have not made love in 4 years. That is another part of the story that it was so gratifying to know. This woman waited for her husband to make love to her 4 years. 4 long years she waited. She waited and she waited, but she waited. And she waited for Dr. Sebi to arrive in Dominica. Little did I know that I was going to have to perform that particular work. But it happened. She waited 4 years, saying that a woman has that kind of patience. We men, we don't believe that. There is no one in the world that is more abusive than a man that is impotent. Why? Because he thinks his wife is running with someone else, because he can't perform. But this woman waited 4 years. So I was able to see the resilience of a woman, the elasticity of a woman. Yes, then he came to me and he said, how could you heal someone without seeing them? I say, now this is a joke. This have got to be a joke here. He said, why? I said, how many people have you seen? How many urologists have you seen? How many internal doctors have you seen? How many general practitioners have you seen? You saw them, right? And they didn't cure you. So what seeing someone had to do with healing? We forgot God. It's the compound that God made that heals, not me. You don't drink me. You drink those herbs, right? I could give you all the compounds in the world to address all the disease that you may come with, and you sit there talking to me for 100 years, you're going to die. Because you didn't take the stuff. But we have this belief in our head that the laying on of hands is going to heal you, yet the Bible said that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. So what's going on? Ain't no laying on of no hand. Your colon is obstructed. Laying on of hands is not going to remove that. And if you don't believe me, take someone that's blind or diabetic to someone that laying on of hands and see how good that's going to be. Try that. No, ladies and gentlemen, the day has come. What made us sick is the stuff that we eat. It makes us angry. So, Dr. Sebi, you cure all these diseases. How do you do that? I'm a plumber. Again, I repeat, I am a plumber. When Miss Denise Murray went to Honduras, she talked about her little pains here or there. She went there to be accompanied with someone. But the someone passed away, praise the Lord. Olivia passed away. But if it wasn't for Olivia passing, you would not be here with me this evening. So you see, everything has a positive side. Everything has a positive side. She talked about her illness, about her little pain, but I gave her some compounds. She didn't come as a patient, so I didn't treat her as a patient. But the pain left. Mr. Charles Gray, his pain left. What did I do? They both got the same things. She got a pain on her side, he got a pain in the back. Now, doesn't that show that we need two different medicines? Right? They got the same stuff. Well, how come both conditions disappeared? I'm a plumber. I am a human plumber. We don't want to go into biochemistry, neuropathology. When they brought the insane woman for 11 years crazy, she needed someone that is called a neuropathologist. Am I right? Well, I went to her guts. That's what my wife told me to do. She's no longer crazy. Am I not a plumber? Of course I am. That's all I am. I cleanse the human body. Cleaning the human body. Of what? The garbage that we've been eating for 500 years. How difficult is that? Oh no! We have to compartmentalize disease. Oh, he has epilepsy, you know. It's a very delicate situation here. And this woman here have a rare disease. A rare disease. They always give us this rare disease. And we believe it. Why do we have to believe it? Because we only had one teacher. We only had one teacher. We had the Caucasian from Europe. And we cannot blame him. What he gave us is all he knows. But how do we know that what he knows is consistent? How do we know that what he knows applies to us? When God don't have gorillas and polar bear eating the same food. And God made both. Well, why didn't God make the gorilla capable of eating the polar bear food? Because the genetic structure is different. And that is extremely important. That gene group that we represent. We heard always that we are all equal. Oh yeah? We're all equal, right? We are the same. Well, you bring a Caucasian from Norway and standing up by me, stand him up by me. And if you don't see a difference, you need glasses. There is a big difference. His eyes are blue, his hair is brown, his skin is white. I'm black with kinky hair. There is no difference. There is a difference. But the difference has not been addressed. We've been grouping people together. We eat what Chinese people eat. We eat what Mexican people eat. We eat what Caucasian people eat. But the gorilla can't eat polar bear food. So how come we could eat this stuff and get away with it? No, you can't. This morning I had a consultation with a beautiful lady, and when I said to her that she couldn't have her chicken, her Cornish games, she go like this. My mother did the same thing. My mother came all wrecked up, you know, with all the stuff that could hurt someone that is in her 70s. I said, Mom, you can't eat. You can't eat? No, you can't. You can't eat. What are you talking about? I raised you on the same stuff that I'm eating. I said, that was wrong with me. When I was 30, I said I was very sick because of you. But you didn't know. You had the wrong information and you gave it to me, thinking it was consistent. You can't eat, Mother. So what I did, I was living in Puerto Rico. I had a gate. A very large gate to get out in the street. My wife would go to work, and I would lock that gate with my mama inside. 1 day passed, 1 week passed, 2 weeks passed, 4 weeks passed. 4 weeks passed? Yes, 4 weeks, a month. And on the 52nd day of my mother not eating anything but drinking water and those herbs, my mother goes to the bathroom. And she sits there, and she is passing something that's long because she felt that thing coming out of her. When she wiped herself, and she got up off the commode, and she looked, She didn't see anything. She said, something has got to be in this commode. She took a stick and she digged down in the commode, and there was that long piece of mucus. All the biscuits, all the hog maws, all the chitlins, and all that was breaking down her mucous membrane is now coming out. My mother then realized that when that long piece of mucus came out of her like a snake, she remembered she could raise her hand up. Oh, wow. When she walked from the bathroom to her room, she could walk better, a little bit straighter. It was wrapped around her colon. And many of you who's sitting in this audience have it wrapped around your colon right now. Because no one has ever come with a comprehensive therapy that would address that, to remove that. So Sebi, working as a steam engineer at Martin Luther King Hospital, was able to put these compounds together without the acid substance. And by that I mean this. Go to your supermarket tomorrow. No. Go to your health food store and pick up a bottle. On it, it says cayenne pepper, aloe vera, comfrey, peppermint, all of them. I don't care what compound you buy. Herbal compound, it has that. But since we don't know the effect of peppermint on the brain, we're going to buy it. Peppermint tea tastes so good. Spearmint tea tastes even better, but it freezes your brain. Then as we leave the herbal compounds and we go to the other shelf, oh, they have another message for you. They have the oxides. They have the oxides that is a rock. Ferrosulfate, zinc oxide, magnesium oxide, dolomite. Oh, I know about them, you know, because I took them. They were given to me by those same practitioners. When I was impotent, well, naturally. When the physician failed, because that's the person we all go to first, right? So I went to the homeopathic doctor. And he said, well, you need some zinc. You need some magnesium. And you need some iron. But the iron says ferrosulfate. Well, I didn't know what it meant, because I was just like you. I didn't know. So when you don't know, people take advantage of you. They take advantage of you and our ignorance. So I bought all that stuff, went home, drink it, and nothing happened. Drink it, drink it, drink it, drink it, nothing happened. Oh, man. In Los Angeles in the 60s, what was the one race in the world that everyone said was so equitable, so knowledgeable, so smart? What was that race that dealt with herbs apart from black people and white people? Who is he? Chinese. Oh my God. My brothers used to surprise themselves. I studied Chinese medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been to China. And do you know what medicine in China prevails? Not herbal. It's chemical. Go and see for yourself. I was in Shanghai. I was also in Hong Kong. I didn't go to Beijing. I didn't have to go there because I was in Shanghai already on the mainland, and I saw the pharmacy. So I went to the Chinese doctor, Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong said, well, we're going to give you 4 yin and 1 yang. What the hell that is, I don't know. I drank the stuff and drank the stuff and drank the stuff and drank the stuff, and there was nothing happening yet. Then the Chinese said, well, we're going to drink ginseng, about truckloads of ginseng. Nothing happened yet. Panax and the dry ginseng. Panax is in a liquid, in a little glass jar. But now, it was my fault It wasn't the Chinese fault. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it true that you are what you eat? Meaning that if you feed a computer the wrong information, when you try to retrieve that information, access that information, are you going to get the right information? You're going to get the same information that you put in that computer. Am I right? Now, take a look at the Chinaman. What does he eat? What else? Tofu? Now that's a good one. Your brother George Washington Carver showed us that if you want to make plastics, the only thing that you could use to make plastic is soybean. Tofu. Come on, just go some more. Rats. Cats. Hold it. Rats. Cats. Hogs. Dogs. And this man we call Chinese that eat this garbage is supposed to be someone equipped with the proper information from his brain. How could something equitable come from a Chinese brain? Is that possible? But because Dr. Sebi didn't know, he took the Chinese stuff. But it wasn't long, I gave it up. A Sunday afternoon, I got a message from New Orleans, Louisiana. Murray Street. Ronald Evans. Said, man, I know someone in Mexico could heal you. I said, man, you are out of your mind. I've been to herbalists, black, Chinese, and everybody else. I've been to allopathic. I've been to the homeopathic. What you want me to go to Mexico for? He said, you better go. Because I did some anthropological work in Mexico, in Chichen Itza, the pyramids, and I found a man that really healed. How do you know? Because many people was claiming that he healed. Well, I had stole some money with some other brothers in New Orleans, which is $175,000, and my share was $56,000. I bought a brand new car. I still had 50-some odd thousand in the bank. So it didn't mind if I spent $10,000 to go see this man. So I jumped in my little Volvo, brand new, gone to Mexico. The man said, don't eat. I say, you out of your mind. How could I live without eating? He said, well, I tell you what. I have $1,500 of your money in my pocket. 1964 I'm talking about. You only pay me $250. I have to pay $1,500. 30-some odd years ago, 35 years ago. He said, don't eat and take this. And I did. 90 days later, I didn't have one disease. He knew. And I thank Ronald every day of my life for sending me to Mexico. What did he know that these others didn't? This Mexican had God on his side. And I was healed. Since then, I started working at King Hospital, and I began to do research, biochemical research. Why biochemical? Because I didn't want to give you an acid substance, because the body's alkali. And here I stand before you today without any disease, and the glasses, and the 200 and some odd pounds is gone. See, this is my stomach now. It's small, but it was out here, 42. My back was always under the stomach. I could see why the girl used to run away from me. I looked ugly and I was fat and insane. You see? So how could I offer you something that is less than that? No, I can't do that. I'm going to offer you what I got. And what I got, after looking at the whole thing, the man cleansed my body out and gave me herbs that were made by God, because the Mexican doesn't have any artificial herbs in their repertoire. I was healed. Happy ever since, laughing ever since, even acting stupid sometimes. But I like to act stupid because I have the freedom to act stupid. And when I come in front of grown-ups, I don't like to be in the middle of grown-ups too much, because grown-ups have all these diseases and get very serious on me like this. I'd be wondering, what is it that hovers in the head that compels this individual to go like this? Now, there is nothing in that big head but some hog maws and chitlins. It's about love. It's not about seriousness. My brother was a very serious man. Very serious. He told my mother one day in front of me that I wasn't serious enough. So I asked him, "Dear brother, what is the reward of being serious? I want to be serious just like you." I do. But what do we get? Nothing. So in compounding these compounds, I was happy every day. Then I met a woman. Oh God, she added to it. She helped all the way. She helped all the way. Up until now, 27 years. That made the journey of research and healing a very pleasurable one. But once in a while, when I come in contact with grown-ups, I get the seriousness, and I would tell her, "Look, deal with that. I don't want to deal with any grown-ups because I can't. Because I've been hearing things that I don't want to hear anymore. I've been hearing things that I know is inconsistent. Don't want to be part of it, and I know it's disease. But they don't want to listen. They want everything to happen all of a sudden, like when I remove their bacon and their eggs, they want to get mad at me. When my healer told me that I had to remove all the garbage, everything, not at least I would give you some greens and some fruits. He told me nothing. He said, "You're not going to eat anything because you're dying." And I know he was right, because one morning I was walking to the bathroom and I never got to the bathroom. What happened? Fell out. When I woke up, it was an hour later. If the doctors and paramedics were around, they would have hooked me up with all kinds of machines. I didn't get to the bathroom. Wait just a minute. In 1962, still a merchant seaman, we left New Orleans going to Panama, Ecuador, a place by the name of Guayaquil, Ecuador. When the ship leaves New Orleans, one day later, I felt very cold. Very cold. And I didn't know anything else. I woke up 14 days later. They would not let any of the crew members get off in Panama nor in Ecuador because they didn't know what it was that I had. What was wrong with me? My lungs was full of fluid. I didn't know I was out for 14 days. The captain didn't believe I was going to be waking up. So now, your brother, Dr.Sebi, sits before you today with a message that you had once long time ago. I'm not coming to you with something new. I'm not coming to you with something that you cannot digest or see. When we begin to clean the human body, all of the toxins begin to be released. And the body becomes light, the body loses weight, there is activity, there is stability, there is balance. That is all I do. I give everyone the same compounds. Don't take my word for it. Go check my bags. My bags have the same things in there. Well, that's unscientific. This is what they said in the Supreme Court. Of course it is. But if science had to do anything with disease, you wouldn't be here today because you've seen them already. Am I right? Of course I'm right. And I like to be right. It's nice to be right. When you're right, you compliment. And I am perfect. And God knows that I am perfect. I have to be perfect. Because God said that we are perfect. You see, God is perfect. And nature is perfect. Well, if God is perfect and nature is perfect, those of us who've been to school, I didn't. P plus P equals what? Equals what? Thank you very much. P. Perfect God, perfect nature, perfect people. Now, if we are imperfect, what made us imperfect? And when did it begin? Did it begin when we start eating the garbage? And there is some validity to eating the apple. We ate the apple, right? But did you know that an apple has lead in it? Inorganic lead, if we're going to use that as an example then. We ate the apple. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to now change that whole philosophy. It has nothing to offer. The allopathic use a chemical that has no place in human biology. Why? There are no chemicals in the body. There are only 102 minerals. And God made every one of them for you, specially for you, electrically. Oh, this is the part that is so difficult. When we think of iron, magnesium, calcium, opium, gold, silver, copper, and carbon, we think of a piece of something, right? A piece of mineral. No. No. The microvilli in the intestines are over here, Mr. Gray was showing me that I still have this up here. But inside here, you see right here, this is your duodenum. Right here, your duodenum. Your duodenum is a little orifice that joins the intestines, the small intestine to the stomach. Then it starts here. But you know how it goes around like this, right? And it hooks up here. But right here, we find something. They call these microvilli. Microvilli cannot digest a piece of metal. It digests electricity. It is the electrical composition of the plant that you uses and the food that you get in your body. So you see, that was shown to us. We want to stop. We want to stop. How are we going to stop now? Where do we begin? Do we begin by removing the meats and stay with fish for a while and get rid of that too? To mushrooms and eventually to nothing. But we cannot talk about stop eating like I did. Well, the reason why I cold turkey and stop eating for 90 days because I couldn't have sex. And the men guaranteed me that if I stop eating, my sex would be back. Well, which young man at 30 doesn't want his sex nice? Well, I did, and I stopped eating. I'm not impotent anymore. I'm 65. But I could go maybe once a year, but that's okay. At least I'm not impotent. Only because I listen. I listen. I listen to what? Truth. Truth is the human body needs minerals that are alive, but first you have to cleanse that garbage out. Because if I give you minerals that are good and energizing, the microvilli are all clogged. They're all clogged with cheese and butter and biscuits. So the microvilli are all smothered. So I have to remove this stuff, and then the villi would extract the food. Do we understand that? Sure we do. That's not science, that's reality. That's God, that's natural. Yes, ma'am. That is what it is. Yes, sir. The cleansing of the human body and the revitalizing of the human body is what takes away all disease. This is why I give everyone the same compounds. The Supreme Court didn't like when I said that everyone that was cured from AIDS to blindness got the same compound. That's when they jumped up and said that I was unscientific. But that was okay. I won my case, isn't it? I proved that I cured, not that I cured, but that the diseases were cured. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to open up to the question and answer. Because this is the better part of the lecture. Because those who ask questions may ask a question that you may want to ask, but they ask it first. Yes, sir. The question is. Well, arrange it, and I'll be right back. Just get the mic and everything. Yes, ma'am.
And it makes them very hyper, sometimes very much out of control. Would you give that to children also?
Are you talking about children, right?
Children, yes.
And this is what they call ADD, attention deficit disorder?
It's a variety of things that they call it, but it's sort of like that. Yeah.
What is the same thing as then?
Same thing. And also,
Well, let me say this. Example, there's a young man came to see me in Los Angeles with his child. He's 9 years of age. And when he came, the little boy was doing this. And he was never standing still. He would go by the window and look outside. The boy was what? He was extremely nervous, right? I gave the man the package that I'm going to give all of you if you come. And I gave him a bottle of Maya. 9 o'clock in the morning. When he got to Watts, which is in LA, he called me 5 o'clock that evening. He said, Dr. Sebi, I don't know how to thank you, but the coolest dude in the house is my son. The boy was lacking of what? Iron. He was lacking of iron. You see, iron, the deficiency of iron causes 40 different manifestations of disease. Yes, he was lacking of iron. You and I have not had iron in 500 years. Don't come to me with beets, because that doesn't have any iron in it. That stuff is artificial. The child needs iron. So what we're saying here, since we won the case in the Supreme Court, we have the right to demand the government to feed our children and to give our children the stuff or the substance that is consistent with the gene group. We don't have to submit to those insurances saying, well, we only recognize traditional doctors, and we don't recognize these others, but you're dying. So it means that the insurance company has bridled us, that they could tell us who you should go to. That's not true. That is not true. After winning that case and setting a precedent, then it means that you have the right to choose those who complement. You don't want an alternative medicine. I don't believe in alternative medicine because it doesn't complement. I believe in complementary medicine, which is a little bit different. Yes, ma'am.
Question about Alzheimer's. You talk about Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's is what on the brain? The mucus that causes sinusitis, the mucus that causes bronchitis, the mucus that causes pneumonia, the mucus that causes inflammation in the prostate gland, the mucus that causes endometriosis, and then vaginal discharge. Where is the mucus now if someone has Alzheimer's? On the brain. That's right. Next.
Dr. Sebi, since having been introduced to you, I've bellowed the virtues of sea moss, as you have. But I'm having a great deal of difficulty finding fresh sea moss in this country. Can you, A, elaborate on the benefits and the virtues of sea moss, and secondly, perhaps help me find some fresh sea moss in this
Very good.
Thank you.
Sea moss is known scientifically, there we go again, Chondrus cryptus, am I right? Sea moss comes from the ocean. It locks onto a rock. And from that rock, it receives its nutrients.
Dr. Sebi, how could that be possible? A plant hold on to a rock? Yes. Scientists have yet to understand how could a plant hold on to a rock and then give you food. But you know what it did? They invented a word. This is the word. A 15-letter word. They call it iontropherosis. Now dig that. They don't understand the workings of God, but they're going to give it a name. That a plant has the ability to convert a solid oxide substance into a liquid digestible substance. They call it iontropherosis. Sea moss does that. And every plant does that. But sea moss has iodides, bromides, it has all of the minerals, phosphorus, which is good for the thyroid gland, which is good for the endocrine system, and it's going to give you energy. And it has muscle food. They call it manito, sea moss. Where do we get fresh sea moss? Incidentally. Like the man, the man made peppermint, and he made aloe vera, he made noni juice, he made vitamin C out of acerola berry. Well, guess what he did in Boston? And you guys don't know it, and it's dangerous. The man went to the ocean and got a piece of sea moss because he knows that sea moss grows in the ocean where the sea is in constant motion. Sea moss doesn't grow where the sea stands still. It has to be in motion, and sea moss grows. So this man in Boston went and got pieces of sea moss, put it in this brine with salt on a machine, and he moved it. The machine is constantly moving. And lo and behold, the sea moss grows very thick and very fast. And when you get a little bit of it and you put it in the pot, it gives you a whole lot of mucilage. The natural sea moss doesn't give you a whole lot of mucilage. And the talus of the sea moss, I mean the little strings, thin like this, very thin, just like this. But the other one is 3 times the size. And the other one, 3 times the size, it always has salt on it. Natural sea moss has no salt on it. And it gives you energy. Where are you going to get it? Well, we are importing sea moss. We have a whole box of fresh sea moss in Chicago where I just left to come and see you because Mr. Gray said, wait, drop Chicago and come to Philadelphia. Well, I did. And I had just received a shipment of sea moss. My brother owns boats that travel the Caribbean, all the way to Colombia and Venezuela. And he always sees sea moss on top of the ocean. It looks like gold. He would harvest it and bring it to me. And since Mr. Charles Gray is head of the Genesee School, we will be collaborating now to facilitate these things to you. You will get fresh sea moss because I will be sending it to him. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And what the brother asked is a very good question. All of you males should drink a lot of sea moss. All of the females too, because it strengthens the connective tissues. Oh, yes, it does. And according to your, not according, but your reproductive organs would definitely love it. Women in Honduras use sea moss to give themselves a douche with. And you'll be surprised what you feel. Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to thank you and welcome you for coming down here tonight to see us and impart this great information to us.
Well, I thank you very much, and I feel so grateful.
Several years ago, a friend of mine introduced me to you, and we talked over the phone several times. And you're in Brooklyn years ago. I have also had power packs, and I have also no longer have high blood pressure because of that. Secondly, 2 years ago, I contacted Bell's palsy.
Yeah, the muscle relax on the face.
Right.
I know Bellman palsy.
I've had that, and I've been to 35 cracks in this town. You know, they call them doctors that have gave me all kinds of erroneous information for lots of money. I've been to some of your great, bright Chinese brothers you spoke about so eloquently earlier. They gave me all kinds of information. I'm here tonight to ask you, will your basic pack help me with my palsy?
Bellman palsy is something we have to go deep into your intestine. Something is in your intestine that still has to come out. We have to get in there with a deep therapy now, because it's saying that the central nervous system is not sending the message that it should. The brain also. Yes, we do have something, sir.
Okay.
In fact, there's a young man that just came to work for us about 2 years ago, and his father came to see me, and he had an attack of Bellman palsy. His mouth was even twisted, and he was salivating. And now, about a week later, after taking the substance that we gave him, he was straight. But let me say this. If you want to be treated, I just came back from Mexico, where I bought the lily of the valley. Apart from the treatment that would remove the debris from the colon, we want to go straight to the heart too, and the brain. And there is nothing in the world like lily of the valley flower, the flower of the lily of the valley. And I would see to it, if you make an appointment or, you know, sign up, I would tell my daughters in Miami to especially pay attention to this particular name and this order, that you would get this lily of the valley.
Can I go through Mr. Gray?
The young lady over there, Miss Bushango,
Yeah.
and you make that, and you put your name in there, sir, and your address and your phone number.
I will. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
You know, incidentally, there are many people who used to be part of our healing group, but they stole our computers twice, and all the database was left with it.
There's a young lady from Maryland. I met her here one day. She worked with you.
Who's that?
Lady from Maryland, from Landover, Maryland.
Landover, Maryland.
Years ago, 3 years ago, I got a power pack from her. She was bringing
Oh, yes. I want to remember her name. Yes, okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Dr. Sebi.
Hello.
Thank you for coming to see us today. This information that you're giving us is so wonderful. I have two questions. One is water. We have so many different waters and on the market. What is the best way for us to drink our water?
You know, it's difficult for me to tell you what water in America. In Honduras, I drink thermal water. It comes out of the ground at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, sometimes at 210, little above boiling point, which the boiling point is 212, right? But it comes up at 200, which is purified. Anything that comes out of the ground at 90 and above is purified by nature. In America, when I'm in America, I try to look carefully and see that I drink spring water. Spring water, not distilled water. Distilled water has a pH of 7. Has a pH of 7, which is neutral. It's not good to drink because it will rob you of your minerals. Spring water has the minerals. The dissolved solids are high. So when you buy your water, buy spring water. Don't buy purified water. Spring water.
Thank you. My second question is, what are the best fruits to eat here where we are? Like you have
The best what?
fruit.
The only fruit in America that I know for certain that is good is crab apple and some elderberries, blackberries, elderberry, and crab apple. The rest, you could eat them if you want to. They're not going to hurt you, but they're not going to nourish you because they're artificially made. None of them. Thank you, ma'am. Blackberry and the crab apple and the other one, which is the elderberry. Yes, sir.
Peace and blessings, young man.
Peace and blessing, young man.
Thank you today for coming again today. I came yesterday and I'm back here again today. It's a beautiful speech that you gave yesterday. I'm asking you about a problem that I have, or I still have, is I went to Wilshire Hospital and they took a picture of my eye. And the young gentleman told me that I have broken blood vessels in the back of my eye. And I'd like to know, plus they say it's leaking. But when I close my eyes, I can see like someone taking a picture or something.
Yes, brother.
Is it possible that you can elaborate on that for me?
Well, of course. I could go back to St. Croix, Miss Margaret Allen. She not only had a broken vessel, she had a detached retina and bleeding in the eye chamber. She went to Boston, she came back. 3 months passed, it still continued. I gave her the treatment, it was attached again. You see, we never understand cell regeneration. Yes, brother, I guarantee you, sir, that there is hope for it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Peace and blessing for you too, brother, always.
Hello, Dr. Sebi.
Hello, sir.
What other food can we eat besides the seagrass, other food that is available in this area?
I'm going to say right quick, which is a valid question. I've been taking everything away from you. I took rice, I took beans, I took sweet potatoes, I took all that stuff, carrots, because carrot is hog food. You give that to your hogs. You don't put that in your champion juicer, because I did that too. I bought a champion juicer for $145. And I used to juice tons of carrots. So what are we going to eat? Quinoa, Quinoa. I think I should go here. Oh boy, look at all this from yesterday. There it is. Quinoa, Quinoa. Quinoa. You could buy mushrooms. I specialize in mushrooms. I consider myself a gourmet cook. When I wake up in the morning, the best breakfast that I've ever had in 35 years is 3 glasses of water. And I leave running for work. And I have a lot of work. I work 20 hours a day sometimes. 3 glasses of spring water, and you go to work. At noon, all you have to do is to buy yourself some fruits like seed grape, not seedless, grapes, maybe a pear or an apple if you want to. What else? 3 glasses of water again. When night comes in the evening, that's when you're going to eat that stuff. And it would be best if you eat what I'm going to give you at noon than in the evening, but you can't cook this at noon. You have quinoa. Quinoa is a natural grain that comes from South America. You could put quinoa, Quinoa. It's a natural grain. You get your portobello mushrooms. You could saute them with onions and bell pepper and tomatoes. That's your meat. The quinoa, you could just cook that like you cook rice. But while you're cooking it, you could add some condiments to it, like cumin, onions, and it tastes good. It's delicious, and it's light. Garlic, no, you don't want to poison the man. I mean, he's a young brother now. We need him. No garlic. Never use garlic in anything. So, you cook your onions, you could steam your broccoli, and you eat your salad with your quinoa and your mushrooms, and that's a big meal. And if you have problems, you eat it every day. I like to eat the same thing every day. Once in a while, I may add a new thing to it, but elephants eat the same thing every day, and he lives 400 years. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Peace and blessings.
I have a word disease, a bone disease. My bones is lack of calcium. And it's 40 hours away from me about 10 years ago.
A bone disease? Well, I don't think you're bad off. Mr. William Malloy from Philadelphia is in Honduras right now. I think he may be back this week. He went down there to spend 6 weeks with me. And he went down in a wheelchair. And when he got the wheelchair, he was walking and I had to hold his arm. And he not only had bone disease, he had bone cancer. His bone was turning to chalk. The doctor said he had a week to live. But when he got there, I gave him the compound. He went in the sauna. Because we have a sauna that you do not find anywhere else in the world. We have a sauna that the vapor is volcanic. First, second, third, fourth day, Malloy threw his cane that he was using. He threw it away. He said, I don't need that cane no more. I said, Malloy, in about a day or two, you're going to be the sickest individual in the world. He said, man, you are crazy. I'm progressing already. I said, no, you have not progressed yet. Malloy had a stomach way out here. It was wobbly. A wobbly stomach. Did you know how it gets wobbly? Malloy, I said, you're going to be in bed. Malloy was in bed for about 7 days. He couldn't move. He was going to the bathroom 10 and 12 times a day. 18 times a day. You have the bone disease because you have the acid in your colon that is affecting the central nervous system, that's affecting the blood, that's affecting the bone. Yes, we have something for you, brother. And incidentally, the brother who asked about the sea moss, who talked about the sea moss, you drink plenty sea moss, and there is nothing in the world that strengthens the bone like sea moss. Mr. Brady Keys, I know those of you in the audience who is old as I am, 65, remember Mr. Brady Keys playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Am I right? You remember that? All right. Mr. Brady Keys and Mr. Big Daddy Lipscomb. Mr. Brady Keys asked me to go see his mother because she had Alzheimer's, but she couldn't remember anything. And she started to remember and him and his childhood and her childhood. But then she was in a, oh boy, this is really treacherous. She was in an old folks, these folks home, what you call it, these rest homes with the doctors, and she's 78. When the doctors began to see the recovery of this lady, it was fascinating to them. But I told my wife, I said, something is up. Why would she remain under their care and she's progressing? When she went back to see his mother a week later, she didn't remember him. What did they do to her? Then she fell and she broke 3 ribs. And my aunt sent her the sea moss, sea moss, sea moss. And 3 weeks later, there was no cracked ribs. Yes, sir. There's hope for you, brother. The sea moss is your helper. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much, brother.
Yes. I heard you on the radio yesterday, and I heard you say, I've been a diabetic for 22 years. I've been on insulin now for 13 years. And I heard you say that your formula would cure diabetes.
Look how the way you ask it. Cure diabetes?
Yeah, I did hear you say that.
Yes, diabetes is the easiest disease for me to cure. It's the easiest one. Look, let me say something. Diabetes is when the pancreas duct is obstructed. And let me show you what it is. You come over here and see this, because you already asked a question. Come over and sit down, because you have to see this. You see, right here under the stomach, if I go to my left, I have your liver, which is divided into 2 lobes, and it hooks into the duodenum. But if I go over here, I have this long organ. They call it the pancreas. In the center of the pancreas, you have the islet of Langerhans, where the insulin is produced. But the pancreas is attached to the duodenum also, and these 2 ducts right here become obstructed like your nose and doesn't allow your insulin to go into the circulation or into the small intestines. Sir, I think that diabetes has been the disease that we have cured more than any other disease. Thousands of them have been cured. And incidentally, they have come and they told me, I'm impotent, I have high blood pressure, poor circulation, didn't tell me they had diabetes, and when they went back to their doctor, the diabetes was gone. Yes, we do have a cure for diabetes. The best diet? Again, the best diet is the one that I just described. Quinoa and the rest of the vegetables. You'll be cured. We talk about the broccoli, that's one. You got spinach. But don't use cauliflower. And don't use carrots. Don't use celery. Oh, incidentally, I didn't talk about celery, right? Celery has the highest concentration of inorganic salt. Don't never use celery under no circumstances. Squash, that's fine. That's cool. Garlic, what's wrong with garlic? God didn't make it. That's what's wrong with it. It has oxide of allyl. I had it there yesterday. It's an oxide of allyl. ALLYL. It's dangerous. It doesn't allow wounds to heal. Garlic is not even hog food. Go feed that to your hog. Yes, ma'am.
How do you do, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Talk loud.
Okay. Well, I just have a question about what to eat. And are you going to come to my funeral when I die from starvation? Because you just sucked out everything that I eat.
Mr. Gray told me that he will be bringing me back to Philadelphia because he liked what he saw in the response of you brothers and sisters. And when we come back to Philadelphia, we'll be coming back with a team of sisters that cook some of the most delicious food in the world. And you will learn how to cook the food. It'll be prepared right in front of you. And incidentally, the food is very, very simple, very easy to cook. You don't have to spend hours in the kitchen. You spend hours in the kitchen when you're cooking this greasy stuff. You don't have to do that. You want your kitchen to be clean all the time on your stove. And the only way you get that to be is that you cook only those things that are healthy. And I gave a list that the mushrooms, the quinoa, the vegetables, steam, you know, and stuff like that. And you will be doing good. You don't have to die of starvation.
Okay, the real question I have.
Yes, ma'am.
For the young people that are on drugs, I'm interested in knowing if you have a cure for them. Because according to statistics, there's only less than 3% that can come off it and go on.
Well, according to statistics, there is no cure for any disease. So if we go by statistics, we're wrong again. Now, what is addiction? The addiction comes because of the deprivation of energy. Iron. The first time that I treated alcoholism, I gave the man large doses of iron fluorine. The man no longer drinks, and 12 years has passed, and he hates to even pass around a bar where he could smell it. So with the other drugs, the same thing happened. I mean, it works then. We raise the level of the energy. You see, you're looking at an ex-drug addict. Not any length of time, but I used cocaine. Of course I did. It was good. I felt, whoa, wow. You snort the stuff and you feel like, hey, I'm back. Because as a young man, you have a lot of energy. As a young man. But as you get a little older, the energy begins to diminish. It plummets. And you see what's going on here. Then one day your friend says, hey man, try this. And you snort this cocaine. Wow. You remember when you was 18. But it is false. Because when it drops you below where you were before. And you become dependent now to raise it up again now. And dependent, and dependent, and dependent. Nobody healed me. I had to heal myself. So what I did is to give people large doses of iron fluorine that now, remember, the cocaine will bring you up and drop you lower than where you were. Bring you up and drop you lower. Bring you up and drop you lower. But iron fluorine gradually brings you up. And never to drop. It holds you here. You become relaxed with the energy. And the need for the cocaine just ceased. Heroin, I did the same thing. Alcohol, cocaine, crack, everything. Yes, ma'am. But there's another thing with the youngsters. No, you can go sit down now. About the young sisters that are on crack. You know what they're doing? They're telling us that they need us. They need love. They need love. We can't criticize them and say, this low down little, no. Because we the parents started them off by putting salt on the table. And we prepare them to be drug addicts. We don't want that anymore. We got to give them love, right? Because love is what it is about. I mean, it is love, you know? It's nothing else. And with that love that you give them, Mama didn't say anything today. Mom is not angry at me. Wow, no, Daddy. Instead of Daddy coming in there with his rah, rah, he come in and he sit down and say, baby, I'm your father, you know. And you know I love you. I don't know how to help you, but I heard this man that said that you could be helped. And I want to help you. I did it with a woman in Puerto Rico, and she wasn't even my friend. Her name was Maria. Maria would sit on the sidewalk in Lopez y Cardo, a neighborhood worse than any neighborhood in Philadelphia. You talk about crime. They used to kill 2 people every day in Lopez y Cardo. And I used to go there anyway. And I found this lady, this young woman, 23 years of age, sitting on the sidewalk, just waiting for someone to give her $5 to buy a little bag to go fix and put in her arm. So I used to go sit by her every day. She said, who are you anyway? Are you a preacher? I said, I'm not a preacher. Well, why are you messing with me? I said, because I want to know, how come you have so much testicles, much larger than mine, that you elect to throw your life away? Girl, I wish I could do that one. I wish that I could just forget everything and go after this drug like you're doing. And she said, look you, and she started cursing me some very ugly words. Do you have some money? I said, I got some money. Well, give me $5. And I left. Came back next day, there was Maria. You come messing with me again? I said, yep. And again and again and again. I would give her $5. I know what you're going to buy. I would talk to her. And one day, Maria wasn't there. 5 years later, I lived in Puerto Rico for 14 years. 5 years later, one evening around 5 or 6 o'clock, I had someone to walk in my house. Sebi, Sebi, Sebi. I said, Cuco. Cuco is the name of the fella. He used to have horses that run in the horse race. Cuco said, you receive a letter. Oh, from Maria, with a little picture of a little girl. Maria said that of all the people in the world that she remembered was me. And she wanted to tell me the story as to why she was sitting on that sidewalk. Her father abused her sexually. Her uncle abused her sexually. Now, when a father abused a daughter sexually, and a father to a girl is like next to God. You know how much a girl loves her father? And then for him to abuse her sexually? Who does she go to now? Who is left on this planet for her to go to and tell about her feelings? Her father is having sex with her. She said to me in the letter that she remembered me, and she could not get me out of her brain. She went to New York, she came to New York from Puerto Rico, and she cleaned up with her sister because she remembered me. And she went back to school, got her degree, and married a man, and she have a little girl. You see? That's love. That's stretching out for someone. And I know that if we were to just stretch out, select one young girl in the neighborhood, and say, she is my target, I'm going to get this one. You'd be surprised how much you're doing. I know Mr. Charles Gray told me stories about what he have done with many children here in Philadelphia, with his school, people who used to shoot up and kill people. Now they're productive people. Sure, but they need what? They need what you and I need. A little bit of it. They call it love. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Sebi, good evening. It's a real thrill to hear how hard you're able to work and improve yourself. And that inspires us.
Do I have time, or did I keep record of those who have been treated to see if they are still doing well? Of course. I have right here in New Jersey, Miss Gloria Walker. She passed 14 fibroid tumors, and she wasn't supposed to have any children. And she have 2 girls. She no longer have the fibroid tumors, and that's been 14 years. I have also Miss Maxine Salam, a beautiful Muslim sister. She had breast cancer 12 years ago. She no longer have it. There's a young man here in Philadelphia by the name of Chovy from Puerto Rico that I'm looking for now, and he had AIDS. He no longer have it, been 8 years. And we have a slew of others because we lost our databases, you know, when they stole the computers. But we do have other records to show. And I have, incidentally, I have newspaper clippings of people that was cured of sickle cell anemia 14 years ago, people that was cured of diabetes. Sure we do. We have follow-up.
Part B of my question is, would you be willing to work with a researcher to, in fields that you do, integrated medicine and complementary medicine are crucial, and are willing to stand up with you against the mainstream conventional medical people? Would you be looking for something like that, like Dr.Sebi, who's a black physician?
I'm willing to work with anyone, and I have to. If I am what I say I am and I've done, well, why shouldn't I? Mahari Medical School started a protocol with me, but they ended it. Why? I don't know. But that's not my business. But I was open for them. And Mr. Gray took me to Dr. Lomax, who is now going to probably start something with me, and I would work with anyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All you have to do is to get in touch with Mr. Charles Gray. Thank you so very much, young lady. Yes, young man.
Yeah, I heard you on the radio yesterday, and you didn't mention hearing. I have a hearing problem in borderline sugar. I heard you said that you had a cure for that, but how about hearing? Do you have anything for that?
You know, if blind were cured, if AIDS were cured, if leukemia was cured, do you think that air could be cured? Of course. Where does this young man have the mucus now? In the drum of the air. And they didn't remove it. They preferred to put a hearing aid on him. No, we have to remove why the air is not functioning properly. And it's right in front of him, right here. Yes, sir. And we'd be glad to assist you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Sebi, speaking of sea moss, how do you prepare sea moss? How long can you keep it in your refrigerator?
Sea moss, if you just take the sea moss and you boil it, and keep it in the refrigerator, and every day you want to use something, you just, oh, incidentally, when you boil it, there may be a little bit stringy in there, some of it, when you pull some off, but don't throw away that pulp. Put it in the blender and blend it up, and it blends to liquid again, and you mix it with the other one, put it in the refrigerator, and every day you want to use it, take a little bit out. I use sea moss in soup. I make pudding out of sea moss.
Do you add anything else to it other than sea?
Oh, of course, depending on what you're going to do with it. Like in the soups, you put all the condiments of a soup. But if you want to make a pie, you put the condiments of a pie, like the vanilla, a little bit of cinnamon. Oh, well, there's only one sweetener that could be even allowed in the body. Maple syrup. Maple syrup. Grade C. C. Maple syrup. Grade C. M-A-P-L-E. Grade C.
Grade
yes,
C,
sir.
Grade C only, right?
Grade C.
Okay, fine. I had to answer that question. As you know, in the West Indies, they use other kind of adjectives, like cream, sweet cream, and stuff like that.
What you say in the West Indies?
Yes.
They put milk in it.
Yes.
They call it ice and glass.
But as you know, it's no cream at all, right?
I live in the West Indies. I'm part West Indian.
But no cream at all?
No, sir.
Thank you.
No milk. That's adulterating it. Yes, young lady.
About 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with a polyarthritis, and I've had it for about 10 years. I'm really tired of suffering with arthritis. And right now, I have gout also, and a couple other things that just, you know, I think by the time I get 59 in a couple of months, I'll be falling apart. So I'd like to come to you and see the compound.
So you have gout now?
Yeah, in the hands and that sort of.
Well, let me address the young lady properly. When I was arrested in New York in 1987, on the 10th day of February, about around 11 o'clock, I had handcuffs on me. And I was taken to jail. The precinct, anyone know New York? Right on Flatbush and this other street, then before you get to go up on the bridge, there's a precinct. And once I get inside, naturally, they have to fingerprint me, right? So the policeman that's going to fingerprint me is a white policeman, Caucasian. He looks at me and he said to the detectives, oh my, you guys just messed up. They said, why? Because this man really heals. I look at this man, they're going to fingerprint me and ask him, how do you know? I never seen you before. And every patient that ever passed through that clinic, I know. I didn't see your face. He said, well, I had gout. I had gout for 10 years. And I sent a black policeman to tell you that he had gout. You gave him the medicine, I took it, I don't have gout no more. That's how I know these detectives messed up. I said, but sir, why didn't you come? He said, I didn't come because I don't know if you love white people. I said to him, when in history have you heard that black people hate white people, or Chinese, or Arabs, or Eskimos? We're just not on the business of hating anyone. What you have in your midst today in America is anger. And you have made us angry, unknowing what you were doing because you fed us the wrong food. But I can't hate you or anyone else because hate, sir, hate eats up the carrier of it, not the one that you hate. Yes, ma'am. There is hope for the young lady.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much.
Dr. Sebi, I appreciate your knowledge, but I have a
There he goes again, knowledge.
Okay. Cancerous tumors. What is the best substance to use to more or less destroy those tumors, if you know? And number two, they say that all men over 50 will develop prostate problems. Now, what can we do to alleviate that problem?
Well, Mr. Graves, sitting behind you, is a young man that took another young man to see me in Honduras, Professor Simmons, George Simmons. And he had prostate cancer, hip cancer, diabetes, lungs inflammation, all in one body. And he came there with a cane. Yes, Professor Simmons came with a cane. You understand? The boy was little out of whack like I was. 4 days later, I made a mistake. 4 days later, I said, Professor Simmons, you see, he threw away the cane. He said he didn't need it anymore. There's Mr. Charles Gray could testify to this. I said, on the 5th day, I said, I want you to go see this river that runs behind my house. Well, when I took Miss Denise Murray, she looked where she had to go down. She said, I'm not going there. Denise said, I'm not going to go down there. Guess what? Professor Simmons went down and run back up. 5 days after he came to me with prostate cancer and hip cancer. He was 65 then. So what do we have for cancer?
Yes, what do you have?
That we have the same thing we give the man with pneumonia. We have the same thing we give the man with diabetes. We have the same thing we give the man that's crazy. We have the same thing for everybody.
But is there a herb, doctor, that you could take? Some herbalists recommend certain herbs that will destroy tumors.
There is no such thing as one herb that addresses a disease. It's a therapy. It's a cleaning therapy. What is called a chelation, an intracellular chelation. The young man said that many herbalists recommend a specific herb to cure cancer or to remove the tumor. I don't know of any herbalists in America that have cured cancer or tumors. So whatever they're recommending is a recommendation.
So actually the chelation is the key.
The chelation is the key. How am I going to remove cancer if I don't get to your guts? How am I going to do that when the very debris that caused the cancer is still in your stomach? So what herb in the world is going to do that? If I give you an herb that comes from Mexico, known as the prodigiosa, which is the most effective thing for your colon and your digestive system? The best in the world. Even though I'm going to your colon, it would help, but I still have to give you a diuretic to remove the fluid and to break down the tumor. I have to give you something for energy because your energy has left you. I have to give you something for the central nerve system. So you see, is it one herb or a therapy? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, young man. And here we have the last one.
Greetings, Dr.Sebi. I met you, in fact, Professor Simmons introduced me to you at Victoria 5, next to Apollo.
Professor Simmons used to teach where? I didn't hear that. That's okay, take your time.
Professor Simmons introduced me to you at Victoria 5, next
Oh, yes, when I gave that lecture.
a couple years ago.
Yes, sir.
I just had a quick two-part question. What green vegetables are hybrid? Shall I say, what green vegetables aren't hybrid? And are multivitamins beneficial or detrimental?
Thank you. Now, the young man asked, what green vegetable are not hybrid? Lamb's quarter. It's growing out there right now. It's a leaf about that long, about this wide. It tapers off at the top. You can see it all around Philadelphia. Lamb's quarter. Who knows it here? Uh-oh. There's a lady. There is a lady that knows the herb or the plant. That is energy. That gives you energy because God made lamb's quarter. What other green vegetable exists on the planet that is nutrient? Well, I took Miss Denise Murray to a natural spinach. The little leaf is about this small, and it has a beautiful pink flower. That's the only one that I know in Honduras beside this one. But I just remember another one that the young lady just screamed out and said, dandelion. That is a very good herb, young lady. Thank you. Poke salad, Annie. Forgot about him too. Poke salad. Correct. So you have 3 or 4 now. You have the lamb's quarter, you have the dandelion, you have the poke salad, and the one in Honduras with the natural spinach. I eat broccoli, sir, but I know that broccoli doesn't have any food value to it. And the reason why it does not, because spinach. I eat broccoli, sir, but I know that broccoli doesn't have any food value to it. And the reason why it does not, because it's made. You see, God made this body. And who should be best equipped with the knowledge of feeding it? God or man? Thank you very much. Now we go to the other one. Let's go to the other one. You see why this question and answer is the better part of the lecture? Look carefully at the word vitamin. If you were to split that word, where would you split it? Where? Vita means what? Life. What does min mean? No way. The smallest part of a liquid dram. That's what it means, the abbreviation, the smallest part of life. That's what vitamin means. But life comes in a small part, or life comes as life whole. But the question that should be asked, we said that the human body is electrical, right? Are vitamins electrical? They're not. They are made from oxides. So when we take a vitamin or protein, we have to ask, is it electrical? And if it is electrical, it has to have a fixed amount of what? Of electrons. That's right, brother. How many electrons does protein have per atom? Dr. Steinberg at the pediatric hospital told me, I don't know. And why do you ask the question? I say, but Dr. Steinberg, you recommend protein to Achilles Stroud that had sickle cell anemia. So you was giving the child something that is non-electrical. And something that has what? Starch. Starch converts in the body into what? And carbonic acid. Meat, uric acid. Milk, lactic acid. Starch, carbonic. C-A-R-B-O-N-I-C. Nuts. That's why they call nuts. Nuts are nothing but starch. But we used to eat nuts, like I ate some pistachios today, out of habit. But the stuff has starch, has no nutrients. Starch is acid. You see? But that's okay, because the brother like myself, like you, the information that we have on nutrition came from who? Europe. The information that we have on life came from who? Europe. But have we begun to question Europe? No, we have not. So it is time for us to question Europe now, because our life is at stake. And I'm not going to allow anyone to face me, whether with a religion, a philosophy, or a food. You're going to show me that this thing is connected to God. If it's not, get away.
Thank you, Dr. Sebi.
And thank you very much.
Dr. Sebi, one other question before he leaves. Someone had asked the question. I told him we had ended the question and answer period about noni juice. I think you've already answered the question about the vitamins. Someone had asked me about noni juice. I don't know if you want to respond to that.
If I take a substance known as kava kava, I would be stimulated where it looked like I'm getting energy. But the fact of the matter is, it is obstructing and it is adverse to my central nerve system. Guarana, kava kava are two substances that you don't put in your mouth. Why? Because they were not made by God. Noni juice. I've been hearing noni juice now, like I heard about golden seal, like I heard about aloe vera. Don't you remember 10 years ago how aloe vera hit the market? Everybody was saying the big bags of aloe vera and bottles and all kind of stuff. The panacea for disease was aloe vera. And before aloe vera, it was Pau d'Arco. Before Pau d'Arco, it was golden seal. And now it is what? Noni juice. Well, all you have to do is drink yourself tons of noni juice. But who made noni? The same man that made the African palm oil, the French make noni in those Pacific islands. They cultivate it. Like Chinese cultivate herbs. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot cultivate that which God made, because that which God made only gives fruits once a year. Not twice, once. Just once. Noni juice is prohibited. God prohibits it. Noni juice cures nothing. It doesn't give you any energy because it doesn't have a complete molecular structure. So therefore, it is non-electrical. Don't take my word for it. Take a drop of noni juice and put it under an electron microscope, and there is nothing in it.
Okay, doctor, that was the last of the questions, and I just basically want to now just give some information. Dr. Sebi, in our meeting, has agreed